fists and words of hate and contempt. Unless we change the way we treat others in school and out, there will only be more and more horrible tragedies. Denise Shipley.
About Gary. Mrs. Searle and Gary moved into the house next to ours the day before second grade began. So the first time I actually saw him was at the bus stop. He was kind of quiet but friendly enough. Some of the kids at the bus stop would play soccer in the street in the morning. I was glad when Gary came along because I wasn't into that. And with Gary there, it gave me something to do. We'd mostly talk about stuff like magic cards and video games and what we saw on TV. If you want to know the truth, I think Mrs. Searle was a little overprotective. I guess because she was the only parent. She always wanted to know where Gary was going and would he be warm enough and junk like that. Gary would just roll his eyes. Until Brendan came along, I think I was pretty much Gary's best friend. The thing about Gary was that mysterious part of him that you never knew. It was like something he kept hidden and private. I can't explain it, but I could feel it when I was with him. He'd just get quiet, and you knew he was a dillion miles away. I always thought maybe it was something about his parents getting divorced. Ryan Clancy, a friend of both Gary's and Brendan's.
Gary Searle was a very sweet little boy, with slightly reddish-brown hair and big, round eyes. He was polite and quiet, and always did what he was told. I do recall that some of the children teased him about his weight, but you know how kids are at that age. Ruth Hollington, Gary's fourth-grade teacher at Middletown Elementary School.
I didn't move to Middletown until 5th grade, so I didn't know Gary before that. After we started hanging out, he'd sometimes talk about what it was like when he was younger, about the divorce and how completely nasty it was, and how after it was over, his dad just left and never paid child support or called or anything. That was a huge thorn in Gary's side. He just couldn't get over that. Allison Finley, Gary's on-and-off girlfriend at Middletown High School.
It was an ugly divorce. All that yelling and fighting, arguing over money. Gary was caught in the middle. And sometimes I guess I used him to get what I thought I needed, what we both needed. It's a terrible thing to put a child through, but I didn't know what else to do. Cynthia Searle, Gary's mother.
Gary was enormously bright. You wouldn't know it because he was one of the quiet ones, never raised his hand. I noticed at first in math, he almost always did perfectly on his quizzes, unless he made a careless mistake. But the computer was the real tip-off. I wanted to do a class web page. Gary volunteered to do it. No matter what the problem, he seemed to know 3 ways to fix it. Stuart McAvoy, Gary's 6th grade teacher at Middletown Middle School.
A lot of kids play computer games and junk, but it was different with Gary. The thing about him was he was on the computer all the time. I'd call his house and he'd answer with this faraway voice, and I'd know he was online. He'd sound weird because there'd be this split-second delay in his conversation and those typing sounds, like he was doing 2 things at once. Then one day I was over there, looking over his shoulder. He had 3 instant message screens open and was chatting with someone different in each one. And he was on the phone. That's when I realized that when I called, he wasn't doing 2 things at once. He was doing 4. Ryan Clancy.
I brought Gary to a psychologist. I hoped he'd let out a little of what he was feeling. She said he was guarded. I don't think she ever got close to what was going on in his head. It's obvious now that none of us did. Cynthia Searle.